Welcome to yet another installment on impact weapons brought to you by knuckledusterbook.com. Today we're going to take our first foray into the world of the blackjack. Blackjacks differ significantly from saps in that they use a coil spring with a cast cylindrical head of lead, and most of them are covered in a wrap of leather. It's they're a braided leather for flexibility and just to look darn good as well. The first thing that we'll look at regarding the blackjack is, once again, as I've just explained, the inside of the blackjack and what makes it so effective. And that would be coil spring, high flexibility, the cast lead, and right onto the coil spring, so you never have to worry about it coming off inside the wrap itself. The blackjack originally was created as a kinder, gentler weapon, the idea being that when it hit its object it would flex, so it wouldn't get hit with the full blunt force. Well, that's nice in theory, but if you use this to whip the head, it will create probably much more than if it damage than if it was a stiff impact weapon like a baton. Some of the earlier examples that I have are from Bucheimer. This one, the infamous Convoy, is a very, very heavy lead cast weight onto quite a thin coil spring with a strap that's integrated into the butt, and then using a Turk's head knot up near the top. Very, very effective impact weapon. This one comes from a trooper in North Carolina who sold it to me, and I think it saw its fair share of action and activity. The next one was from Bucheimer as well, and it's absolutely a beautiful example. I really like this one. It's the 796 model, and you can see it has a stitched head, goes all the way around, and as well as the braided outer. And it's just a very elegant looking tool. It has great lines to it. Again, Turk's head knot at the butt with a strap. Significantly lighter than the Convoy and probably easier to carry in a jacket or whatever, but a really nice example that I found. Another classic one that I found as well, kind of a no-name maker, just shows you how, and I've got several of these made by who knows who, and this could be from the 50s, 60s, 70s, or even the 80s. It's worn, but the braiding is held up really well. You can see how it aids in the flex and doesn't, tear or anything like that. And the braids were also very effective in abrasion. When somebody got hit with a braided headed blackjack, it was very likely to cause some serious abrasion on there as well. The only drawback is they tend to let in moisture more than if it was solidly wrapped, and so the spring can corrode, especially in a very humid environment. I've seen a number of them that the spring corrodes, and then the corrosion, the rust and stuff, comes up from the inside and affects the leather negatively and starts to deteriorate it. But they look absolutely beautiful when they're braided nicely like that. The best example of that I have, this comes from my friend Lou in New Jersey, and what he did was he bought a cheap blackjack made offshore and took off the leather and sent it to a whip maker, I believe in Montana. And this guy put a huge amount of effort. You can see it's just absolutely lovely. It's perfect. The braiding is absolutely beautiful, and it's kangaroo leather, which is very thin and extremely strong. Did just a beautiful job. This is his interpretation of the Bucheimer T96. So, and absolutely beautiful. Really nicely done. Australian whip makers are known for their beautiful work with kangaroo leather, and also a number of other types of leather. But yeah, the kangaroo leather is absolutely gorgeous. The next example I have comes from Scott Foster. It is a monster, and like all of Scott's work, he's just gotten so much better in the last couple of years. He's got a great big, probably a 1/2 inch spring in there, maybe even a 5/8 with a giant cast lead, and really nice braiding. Scott does such a good job of getting the right size of braid for head and also for body. Little Turk's head knot at the bottom, and then attaches the strap a la the Convoy. But this thing is just a monster. Not too different from my friend Lou's in that it also is very, very heavy and would do significant damage if used. I'd like to show on a more personal note the type that I make, have made in the past. Same thing. It's got the coil spring with the lead cast end. And what I do is I start with the kangaroo leather from Australia, and I try to hide the seam so there's not a seam out there, and it's fully wrapped. And again, that prevents sweat and moisture getting in through a braid, and it stays very whippy. The kangaroo leather is very supple, it's very soft, it's wonderful to handle. The more you handle it, the softer and more supple it gets. It's just phenomenal to work with. I really enjoy working with the kangaroo leather, and it makes just an exceptional blackjack covering. So that's it for now on blackjacks. That's just meant to be an introduction. We'll probably look at some other ones in the future. Blackjacks can be very difficult to come by. They did deteriorate probably far quicker than a comparable sap, just because of the materials and the construction. So if you do happen across a Bucheimer or any older sap, it's a great thing to add to the collection. And as far as new ones go, I speak very highly of Scott Foster's work. I own a number of them. In fact, we'll probably devote an entire episode just to some Scott Foster blackjacks that I have. And Scott can be contacted through Usual Suspects Network, also through TPI, Total Protection Interactive, and a few other forums I think he posts on. He does do some custom work, and yeah, he's done some springless ones that are absolutely phenomenal as well. Very unique. So that's it for now, and we'll talk more on this subject later.